Hi everyone, and this is just a tiny video that I want to show you what I do with my oil from the freeze dryer. Now, if you're in the market for a freeze dryer, you can avoid this by going with an oilless pump, or you could avoid this by going with the pump that uses oil and just not filtering it, or just filtering it the easier way. So these Sawyer filters are really amazing for water, but they're also good for filtering oil, just in case you didn't know. So as mine starts to run slower and it takes too long for the oil to go through, what I do is, first of all, this goes like that. And then this is twisted onto a filter made from an upside down bottle that flows through there. So when I filter my oil for the freeze dryer, it filters through 2 layers of charcoal and 2 layers of polyfill. First I let it settle so that I don't use the sludge at the bottom. I pour that into, like I said, polyfill, charcoal. That goes into a bottle. That then goes into a toilet paper filter, which goes in, then it goes into another toilet paper filter, and then it goes through, like I said, another one of these bottles turned upside down, which has another layer of polycharcoal in it, but then it goes through the Sawyer filter. So when it starts going slow, you need to back wash your Sawyer, and this is what I do. You got to turn it in the reverse flow. I need a glass bottle, or sometimes that 2-liter will work. I just don't have an extra one. And then you take clean oil, put it there, and then you need 2 hands, but you push here, and the goal is to go slow. As you can see, my filter is so clogged that oil is just flowing out through there. So what I do is I push this through while I'm holding the entire unit with my other hand so it doesn't go flying with a rag. And then, so leave that there. So my right hand or left hand will be up there, and then this would be here holding on to that. Now, and then this catches what comes out that gets backwashed. Now let me show you. Now I just told you that I use polycharcoal, toilet paper filter, polycharcoal, and then through the filter. Okay, the Sawyer is the last step after it's been filtered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Okay, now here's what comes out. That is what the oil looks like after going through the Sawyer, after it's already been filtered a bunch of times. And this is what comes out after the Sawyer filter. Look how nice and clean that oil is. Those little things you see in the bottom there, those are those little things that you're seeing through the glass. I can move this over to here. So that's how great that Sawyer works. And since I started this video, I might as well bring you back into my secret room. So this is the first step. I'm going to remake all my filters. This setup here does not come with your pump. My husband did this because when I got the freeze dryer, I had to get my fingers way back under there, and it was very difficult. So he to empty the pump. So he put this brass extension on here, put this little plastic thing here, got me tubing, so when I drain, my oil just goes in there. So what I'll do then is I'll let that settle there. I just strained this. I will not filter this yet. I'll put it, it'll stay here, and the sludge will settle out. Some people will take this and put it in the freezer, and then they'll be able to just remove the layer of ice. I don't do that because right when I'm ready to empty this, I let it run. I turn that on, you know, to release the oil, and the first thing that comes out is a lot of water. Now, they say you will get a lot more water in there. I don't know. I've had my pump for going on 5 years now and haven't had a problem doing it the way that I do. But if you look in the bottom of this, you can see the sludge. That's from allowing this oil to settle first. So after it settles, then it'll just be like that. That one's been settling for 48 hours. And then I put it through here. You have to pour it slow, and you can see I need to get a new bottle. This is like a Wesson oil bottle. You just use what you have. I know that people have used tubing, like Schedule 40 plumbing, a big round thing. I would like that, but I like to see the process, and I like to know. Now, see, I know this is past time to be changed, to redo the whole thing. And then that has a hole in the lid, poked in the lid, and you just need something that's going to fit in there. And this is what we used to get our honey in. So I've saved quite a few of those to use for this process. I have this one to use next after these settle out. This is the oil that I use. See, that's kind of sludgy and oily back here. The people who have the oil-free pumps, oilless pumps, or change oilless pumps or something, they still have to do maintenance. I'm just not sure what maintenance. I haven't kept up on the advancements in the freeze dryer since mine is 5 years old. I just haven't. And honestly, I don't know that I would pay the extra money to have that convenience. You can see I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gallons of oil. 4 of those are totally unopened. I just keep going through my oil, and well, I had 8. So 2 were just gone. They get used up by coming out here and the waste and the sludge. And then this is when it gets really super dirty. I put it in there, and I take it to someone who uses dirty oil to heat their garage. It's a mechanical garage, not their personal garage. So then, just to show you what a toilet paper filter is, let me bring this out here. These are just pitchers that I think they're from Walmart, 97 cents. So you take one and you put holes in the bottom, and then I put one inside the other, but I put paper there to keep it higher. It'll go down to about there the way they nest. I like to keep it up higher, so I fold paper towels and put it in there to keep them up higher. And that's a toilet paper filter. Look how much dirt that toilet paper filter filters out. I haven't changed those. I'm getting ready to redo my entire filter system. And this right here is the toilet paper we use. Cheap toilet paper. Put that in there. And that right there is a 1 1/4 inch PVC cap stuffed down into the roll on the toilet paper. And then that filters the oil out. So it goes, after it goes through, I was wrong. I said polycharcoal. It's poly. It should be, but it is. So after it goes through here, it'll go through the toilet paper filter. And then after that, it goes through another toilet paper filter. And then it goes into this that I've used these twist ties, not twist ties, zip ties, to keep them on the table leg. And then the Sawyer, I put the oil that's already been filtered 3 times in here, and then it goes down through here and filters out, and then goes through the Sawyer again. So I'm going to take this oil out to the kitchen and show you what that looks like in a bowl. So right there, that's after the oil comes out of the filter, the Sawyer filter, and that's what it looks like before it goes into the Sawyer filter. So that looks pretty nice. Doesn't look too bad at all. And as a matter of fact, sometimes when the Sawyer filter is too slow or my freeze drying is just going so quickly, I'll go ahead and use the oil like this. But there you go. So poly and charcoal work well. The toilet paper filter is so inexpensive to make, and you know, I just would not skip that step. And you know, in a SHTF scenario, I wonder if this would work for engine oil or things like that. My husband thinks not. He doesn't even want to attempt to do it. He's cited his reasons, but cars are his department. He says no, then it's no. But there you go. That's it. That's how I filter my oil. And even though this is obviously looking messy, I don't do this all the time. These filters probably get, I have two. I backwash one. I backwash them both at the same time. So, and then this one needs backwashed, and this is the one I just took off. So once it needs backwashed, that's when I shut everything down and backwash both at the same time, just because I simply hate this job so much. And I actually broke one of my plungers, so I wasn't able to use it. And then I tried some, I got some dollar store plungers and some like turkey basting, injecting, venison injecting things, but none of that works on the Sawyers. So I actually have to order new plungers. And instead of ordering a new plunger, I'm probably just going to get another whole set, because I've had, like I said, I've had these for about probably almost 5 years. I did not do this elaborate filtering system the entire 5 years that I had my freeze dryer, but it's probably time just to go ahead and get another one and either cycle it in or retire these. So that's it. That's just a little peep into the freeze dryer. But like I said, if you don't want to, if you want a freeze dryer and you can't afford the oil-free or oil hassle-free pump, you don't have to go this elaborate. You can just get your oil, and now they say you don't even have to change it every cycle. I do. And they say you don't have to now, so you can either just dispose of the other oil. You can put it in the freezer like other people do and take the water off. You can just go through the charcoal and poly filters, and then with the Sawyer filters, you don't have to use those. Or you can use them and pitch them. Depends on your level of comfort with the work, and as opposed to the money. One Sawyer filter is, I think, about $20. I got them on sale for $15. I've never seen them after that for $15. So now they're about $20 a piece. And then, you know what I mean? Those are just ideas that I'm throwing out there. Do as little or as much as you want when you're filtering your oil for your freeze dryer. And then this is my waste bucket. I'll throw my little paper towels in here, and this is where I'll drain the water into. Like I said, I turn on the drain from the pump and just let it the water come down. This sits under the entire shelf, and the shelf is you know, a wire shelf, so it just goes right through and into there. And this just is a gallon bleach bucket that has been cut. All right, if you got any questions, go ahead and ask them, and I'll answer them if I can. And be blessed, everyone. Here is the final filter completed. I put polyfill on the bottom, all the way down into the cap or the spout. Then a cup and a half of charcoal. That's activated charcoal. And then another layer here of the polyfill. And then another cup and a half of the charcoal. And then another polyfill so that if there gets dusty or too dirty, I can just lift that out and throw that away. Or if it would fall, which it never has, the charcoal hopefully wouldn't go everywhere. And this is the filter that the Sawyer goes on, and I'm not leaving it in there. I just put it in there so that I could work with that. So then I'll do the same thing with this one, which is the first filter. Okay, just wanted to show you how that looks. And here I'm working on the other filter. I've got it started. I put a lot more polyfill in the bottom. I cut it into a strip and then put it in there. If you use the kind that you use to stuffed pillows, you would just grab a handful of that and put that down inside there. This is what I use, the Aquatech activated carbon. This is just for fish aquariums. What I do when I finish up, or when I take it out of the container, is I rinse it thoroughly in water so that there's no more residual dust that gets on your hands. I just don't feel it's necessary to have that dust in the oil if it should go through the polyfill here. And that's when I use it the first time. And then I put it in a box because the box will help absorb the water. And I put it on my wood burner. That way I know it's getting nice and toasty dry. Or you could put it in the sun, or you could put it on a baking sheet and put it in the oven to be sure that it's totally dry, or you could just wait a couple of days, I guess. The reason I want it totally dry is because oil and water shouldn't mix. And then when I took the charcoal out of the filter that was oily, and you can see some of it still has like an oily residue, I put Dawn dish liquid in a sieve. This is the one I used, and then I put the charcoal in there, put the Dawn dish liquid over top of it, and then put hot water. Just let hot water with my aerator just go through there, and it made a lot of suds and bubbles, and then you see some gunk and dirt and black stuff coming out. And then I just kept doing that until all the suds were gone. I stirred it around because I don't want any dish liquid residue in there either. So that's how I did that. Okay, and so here it's done. I had to put some tape around the top here because of my hinge, trying to keep a hinged lid on there, and excuse me, and taking it, you know, up and down so many times it had developed a crack. So I think this was a Wesson oil container, but I could transfer it and make something different. But what I really like about this is that when I put it in there in the honey lid, sorry, it just kind of, listen, it snaps in, so, and it stays there, so it's not coming out. And I've never had a problem with it falling over. And I'm going to try to show you one-handed how I pour this into there. So, well, let me just pour some oil in there. See, there's just, this is not going to work. Yeah, now it'll fall over. Stand by. Okay, so there I poured the oil in, and because it's a brand new filtering system, it's going to take a few minutes. A lot of it will just soak in there and stay in there, and it does do that, and it stays like that. So I'll just wait for some of this to go down, and then I'll pour some more. And probably slower than molasses. You can see it's finally soaking down through there, through the first layer of poly and into the charcoal. Sometimes it tries to sneak by, but it goes through the charcoal. Now what I did here is, this was like, well, I can't tell you how much, but I don't know, it's about 2 inches of polyfill. And then for me, this was a cup of charcoal, but it's about 1.5 inches, and then there was another small layer of polyfill, and then more charcoal. So you can see it start going down through there. Let me put more in, and I will come back when it's done. Okay, while I'm waiting for that, I decided to give you another close-up of the toilet paper filter. I'm going to take this out of here, and I'm going to replace the toilet paper filter with this clean roll of TP. Just in case you were curious, that's what that sludgy mess looks like from soaking all the impurities of the oil out. I got this idea a few years back from a man who makes filters, actually. So I got it out, and I'm not going to wet it, even though it could use a better cleaning, just because I want to get this done. So I wiped it off. It's got some little bit of sludge in there, but I don't even know how that would get in there. And this is what the inside of this container looks like. And you can see it's got those holes in the bottom. Let me turn it like this. Maybe you'll see it better. I just got small holes around the perimeter. And I remember now, because it was a few years back that we made this, this was hard to get out. And when I was trying to take it out, I had to actually damage the oiled paperboard core with my fork to help get it out. And I remember that I had a heck of a time getting these in and had to resort to husband's strength, which is sleeping right now. So I'm going to have to try this myself. Alrighty, so two good things happened. The filter started dripping the oil into the, although this is clear, it's still rather opaque, but I can hear the oil going in there. Listen. First it was dripping, now it's a fast drip. It was like actually a little pour for a while. Let me see, hold on. Here it is. Coming through my little hole there. And the second good thing is that pushing this in, it crushed a little bit of the cardboard and I pulled it out, which was apparently just enough to get that to slide in there. So I'm going to just push it down in there. It's not as good as the last one was, but I'm sure it'll... I'll keep that up and husband strength won't be sleeping much longer. Okay, so then the only other thing to do is to go ahead and just, well, I'm going to wipe that sludge out of there. So now that sludge is gone, and I wiped around the outside of that too, and I missed a dog hair. Nice. All right, and then I'm just going to take the toilet paper roll and slide it down in there. Okay, that may not, I may have to take some off. Yeah, that would not go down past this section here. And keep in mind, it's been years since I made this. So I'm going to take off a few passes of the TP, probably up to where it got crushed. So I took a good bit off. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 passes. I left some of the crushed stuff right there. And there, now it goes down in much better. And that's done. And unfortunately, I can't... Well, actually I can show you how that works, but nothing's going to come out the bottom just because, just like here, it took so long. This, after you use these for a while, this will become soaked with oil that just kind of stays there and slowly works its way down. This soaks up a lot of oil and keeps the oil in there. Oh, what the heck, in for a penny, in for a pound, isn't that what they say? So what I did was I went and got a clean container and a folded up paper towel to keep the interior filter out of the exterior, and stand by. So I wiped the exterior one out. I put my paper towel there, which seems to be a little thick because you can see how much is actually above, because these are two the same size containers. So that's quite a bit to have to filter at one time. So I will actually reduce this. So I reduced the thickness by half. So it was 2 full paper towels. Now it's 1 paper towel folded into quarters there. And that seems to be a little better. But then that can be played with later. And I mean, it's just a paper towel. It's not an expensive part. So here's what we're going to do. Is we're going to take this oil that's already been filtered by the previous filter and just pour it into there. Oh, there's a hair. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. How'd you get it? Okay, so then we just pour it. And this is the one I like. It's the easiest of all. You just pour that in there. Get it go in there. And pretty soon, this toilet paper, well, it's going through rather quickly. But you can see, even though this oil has been through, this would be its third filter. This would be its, wait, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, because I take it, it goes through this filter first, and then through 2 toilet paper filters, and then through the final filter that's like this, but then goes into the Sawyer. You can still see that in every step you get out a little bit more impurities. Now, I don't clean this out all the time, but the sludge stays in the bottom there, and I just generally don't pour out the remaining sludge. I always just leave some oil in the bottom there because I just don't need it all. And you can see right there in the bottom there's some sludge there. And it's all limited to that corner because I store them on their sides on the shelf, and there's no danger of it coming out. But so I poured the rest of that in there. So that's how I make my filters. This one will be rather slow simply because this is the first time it's being used. This video is probably going to be the longest I've ever made, and I just wanted to show you the actual way I make them. I figured since I'm tearing them all apart and redoing all of them, somebody might be interested in how they're made. So again, when the oil comes out of the pump, it goes into one of my honey containers. And you're just going to play with the containers that work best for you and what you're going to find. And we have an abundance of these because my husband uses a lot of honey. Not so much anymore. He's backing off. But so then it goes in here and then it'll sit. I leave all the impurities settle out, or try to. And then when I pour from there into the first filter, I leave the bottom oil in there. Like there will be, in other words, I don't turn it upside down and try to save every last drop like you do with a shampoo bottle or dish liquid when you've got those dishes to do and you're almost done, almost out of dish liquid. So it goes through here, and then after it goes through here, again with the settling out, it'll go through here, and then I leave it sit, and I'll come back the next day. Even if it's done in an hour, I'm not going to filter that into the next step of the filter. I like to let it settle out. But of course, the way I add time to the freeze dryer, that's not a big deal for me, right? So that's going to be that's the first primary filter, I guess. So it filters through that. And then it goes into a toilet paper filter. And then it goes through another toilet paper filter. And the reason I do that is because this filter and 2 of these filters make it just about right to go through the last filter, which is this one that is zip tied to the table leg here. So it's the same filter. This is a 2-liter bottle inverted with the bottom cut off. Goes through the poly, charcoal, poly, charcoal, poly, and then into the Sawyer. And then this is a really slow process, and it'll just drip out of there. So that's why, even though I change my oil all the time in the pump, that this right here, I should have 2 Sawyers going, but I just don't. So when I'm freeze drying and not adding time, I'll if I need oil, I'll come over here and take some brand new oil, which this is Dairyland brand from Tractor Supply, and it's blue, which is totally okay. But check this out. If I took this blue oil and filtered it through the Sawyer, the Sawyer takes out the blue. Is that crazy or what? But okay, I hope this helped somebody. And even if you don't have a freeze dryer, I hope it just kind of helps you out with filtering things and making your own filters, and being a little more self-sufficient and frugal by filtering your own oil. All right, everybody, thanks for putting up with this long video. Be blessed.